This is Jaden's Videos, and today we are here to discuss something very exciting. I am here to talk to you about the Home Depot Halloween 2023 lineup. Yes, you heard that right. The Home Depot lineup for the Halloween 2023 season has officially been revealed. Officially. It doesn't go up for sale until tomorrow, July 13th. However, I want to give a big thanks to Home Depot for letting me get an early look at their Halloween showcase for 2023 and delving deep into all of these items and allowing me to see them early and giving me the footage to talk to you guys about them early so that you guys can plan out what you want to get when it all drops. Now, of course, this is only an online release right now. Stuff will be heading to stores around the typical time of late August, early September, but the date that they're setting is Labor Day weekend is when most, if not all, stores should have the Halloween stuff in stock. But for now, this is the official online release to get us hyped for the upcoming Halloween season, which is only a few short months away now. And, boy, this is looking like a good year for Home Depot. There's a lot to talk about, and I cannot wait to get into it. There's some really awesome stuff. I'm going to go collection by collection here, and we're just going to discuss some of those big hitting things. There's some really cool, also awesome little pumpkins and stuff too, but I'm not going to delve into them in this video. This video is designed for the big things that are going to be big hitters, and the things that you're going to want to get your hands on as soon as they drop online, because some of these are actually online exclusives, so they won't be coming to stores. I think there's only 2 that are online exclusives. All the others I'm pretty sure are coming to stores, but I will mention which ones are. First off, we're going to look at the Grave and Bones collection for this year, which is a collection they've had returning for quite a few years now. First up is the 8-foot animated boogeyman coming in at $199. He's actually pretty cool. This guy is like he looks heavily inspired off of Bughuul from the Sinister movies, but kind of with a different take. He's definitely very big. He's 8 feet tall. He's got an awesome looking face sculpt. I really like the mouth, how, I don't know, grotesque and creepy it looks. I really, really like the appearance of this guy. He's got a cool animation with the arms moving up and down. I'm pretty sure his hands light up like a white, and his eyes light up white. I can see this guy being a pretty good seller. He's a pretty cool one. If you like it, if you like this type of thing, the boogeyman thing, I'd say hop onto him because he's a pretty cool representation of it. Like I said, he looks a lot like the character from Sinister, and I think that's pretty cool to see because he's also got his own twist on it. Because I think that character is like one of the biggest boogeyman characters in appearance-wise, so I think it's cool that they took that inspiration and gave it a twist. Pretty cool prop there. We are also going to talk about the giant LED skull stack. Now, this is clearly inspired off of the pumpkin stack, which was a great seller last year. Personally, I prefer the pumpkin stack because I usually gravitate towards pumpkin stuff more, but if you like the more skull type approach, I think this is definitely really cool. It's coming in at the same price as the pumpkin stack, which is $200, which I don't think is bad at all. It can be separated, so they can either be in the stack or they can be separated just like the pumpkin stack from last year. Next up is one that's really grown on me. At first, I wasn't sure because I wasn't sure if I'd ever have a use for it, but really the more I look at it, the more it grows on me and the more I realize the scenarios it can work in. It's the 7.5-foot Skull and Bones archway. So this is an archway made of skulls, and honestly, it's pretty cool. You can use it for an entrance to an event, a haunt, any facade, whatever. Your yard, up to your door, like around your door even. It's a really cool thing. I think for haunt purposes, this could definitely have a lot of uses for sure, and I actually quite like it. I think if you build off of this and make a very grand facade, I feel like this could be a great statement piece to start that facade off, which I think is a great thing. It's $200, which honestly is not a bad price for an archway at this size. I liked the Mausoleum archway from 2020. I think this is a welcome one, and I'd like to see more archways in facade type pieces from Home Depot because it's something we don't get from other Halloween retailers. Next, we have the 6.5-foot animated Gravedigger at $200. This reminds me a lot of the Gravedigger from 2020, which I owned, and I love that guy. Because I really like Gravediggers and the Haunted Mansion Gothic stuff. I think this guy has a really cool take on the Gravedigger that I've never seen before, because he moves the shovel back and forth like he's digging. And I think that's pretty awesome. He's got his foot on it, and he just moves it back and forth, and it looks like he's digging a grave. Very cool, a type of Gravedigger we've never seen before, and honestly, he just looks great. Like I said, he reminds me a lot of the one from 2020, which looked great. This guy looks great as well. Next up, we have the animated spellcasting witch, which is $100. This is very similar to the witch from last year that just stood there and moved her head and talked, but it's red and it's got a book. So it's coming in at the same price. I'd say this is not something I would get personally, but if you're just wanting to do a more small Halloween display, not wanting to spend a lot of money, I think this is a good route for you if you want a cheap witch decoration, because I feel like it's one of the best, cheaper decorations out there. A lot of decorations or props or animatronics that come in at this price range oftentimes look cheap and are cheaply made. This one definitely doesn't, and if it holds up to last year's, I'd say it's definitely good quality for sure. So I think this is not something that I personally am interested in, but I feel like it has its use and I can respect that for it. I definitely see what they're trying to get out of it. Next we have Marie the Meddling Maid at $150. Now this one is meant to go along with Dean the Deathologist, which is returning this year, which is pretty cool because he was a great seller last year. I love Dean. I'm not as sold on the maid. I like her. I can get her appeal, but I just like the character of Dean more. I like the wine pouring. But if you want a maid and you want something to even go with Dean, I feel like she is a good partner to the character of Dean as the maid. It's kind of turning into like a hotel type of vibe here with the Dean and the maid. It's more of like a party decoration than a haunt thing, of course, but I could see its use. I wouldn't personally get it, but I do appreciate it, and I think it could definitely, I feel like it's definitely going to be a good seller, especially with how good Dean sold last year. People are probably going to want this one to go along with it. We're going to look at the Deadwater collection now, which I think is one of the best. It's a very swamp-like, and I really like that. The first one and one of the heavy hitters off of this one, which is one that I really, really like. I don't know if I'm going to get it. Right now I'm saying probably not because there's other things I like more, but I do really like this guy. I think he's one of the best giant-sized props we've gotten, and it is the Predator of the Night, which has a 12.5 foot width. So not height. I believe he's around 8 to 9 feet tall, so he's still very tall. But his width is 12 feet, which is insane because he's got giant wings. He's got a servo head, so he looks around in all directions. His mouth moves, and he makes growling sounds. I'm glad he doesn't talk because I feel like a character like this, I really like the growling for him. He's $350, so around the same price as the other 12-foot things, though he's not 12 feet tall, he's 12 feet wide, and he's got that servo animation, and he's got lights on his wings and in his eyes and in his mouth, and he's got the moving mouth. This guy's pretty awesome. Just appearance alone, this guy's really cool. The next one is the Lethal Lily. It's kind of a tongue twister. Lethal Lily Witch, which is $250. And at first, when I saw this thing is 7 feet tall, by the way. At first, when I saw this thing, I was just thinking, oh, it's just another basic witch. And I wasn't too excited about it. Because I like witches, but it just looked like kind of a basic witch to me off first glance. However, that is off first glance. As I got a closer look at this thing, I realized that it is one of the most innovative and insane animatronics I have ever seen in the commercial haunt industry, or wholesale haunt industry, you should say, or Halloween industry, or whatever you want to call it. This thing's awesome, and at $250, it is so cool. First off, I thought she was going to say some stupid things like witches usually say more kid-friendly things, which is fine, but it's not my forte. She doesn't. She has some cool phrases, and she's got a great voice and a great laugh. But the real kicker for this one is the animation is unlike anything I've ever seen on a wholesale prop before. It is insane. The head moves in every single direction. It's got insane servos. The eyes blink, but they don't just have like plastic blinking eyes where you can see them click. They're like, because of the latex or vinyl or whatever her face is made with, when she blinks, it's so lifelike looking, and her eyes move in all directions. This thing is insane in the animation, and you can see it on your screen. It's crazy. I'm all about this thing. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not, but it's so cool. There's another one with animation very similar, which I like more, which is the only reason I wouldn't get this thing. But wow, it's pretty incredible. Let me just say that. This next one is the 7.5 foot Marsh Monster at $200. Everyone thought this was a Wendigo at first. When people saw pictures of it earlier in the year, everyone was like, oh, it's a Wendigo. It's not. And I actually really like that because it's so different. It is a marsh monster. It is a weird amalgamation of a creature that you'd find in a swamp. I've always wanted to get a swamp creature animatronic, and I think this is a pretty solid one. It's basically an alligator head and body with like deer antlers, so it's really weird looking. It's got some cool animation. It leans its head back, it moves its mouth, it talks, it moves its arms and its body. It's got a lot of animation for the price point of $200, coming in at almost 8 feet tall. That's a pretty awesome one, especially for the price that you're paying. Very different, very unique for sure. I like that one a lot. Continuing with some of the smaller things in the Deadwater collection, but things that are still worth noting, there is a Swamp Fisherman at $150. It's a lot like the other rocking chair ones that we've gotten in years past. I never really liked those. They weren't my thing. This guy I like because he's definitely very different and unique. I like his voice and his phrases. He's just different, a fisherman, and I feel like that this works well for a rocking chair thing to have it be a fisherman. He's got his fishing pole and he's got the piranha on the edge of the fishing pole, which snaps at the pole, which is pretty cool. The next one is one that I'm not crazy about just because we've gotten it so many times, things like it. This one is very different and it's definitely taller. It's 7 feet tall. The Swamp Scarecrow at $130. Just not one I'm too crazy about. There's other scarecrows I like more, but I don't have anything really against it. It has a cool animation, and at $130, 7 feet tall, that's a bargain for what it is. That's a pretty decent price, and that's one thing that Home Depot really does more than innovation. I'd say their prices. I mean, innovation is a huge thing because they've set so many innovative trends in the Halloween industry in the past few years. It's hard to even count them, but the prices of the Home Depot stuff are really some of the best prices for anything. They're always very reasonable. There's nothing I've ever thought is overpriced at Home Depot. This next one is very interesting. I'm not sure how to feel about it. It is the 5.5 foot Sitter of Souls, or it's also called the Sitter of these Souls. I'm not sure which one it is officially, but it's interesting. It's like a scarecrow girl rocking a baby. It's very different. It's kind of creepy looking. I don't love it. It's not really my thing, but I can understand why some people might, especially because, here it is, it's only $100. I think that's a pretty good price for this. Getting full life sizes for only $100 is hard to find nowadays. So I think that's kind of a bargain for that. It's a lot like the Scarecrow. It's not a bad price at all. But this next one I think is an even better price, and one that I like even more. Possessed Penny at $90. This is a doll. It's 4.5 feet tall, so it's fairly large for a doll. And it tears the head off the teddy bear, and that is cool, but that's not the coolest feature. The coolest feature is that the eyes turn from a normal doll-like eyes to a sinister demonic eyes. There's like an eye mechanism in there where the eyes flip, and I think that's a pretty cool feature. For $90, you really can't complain with something like this. It's different, and it has a cool feature. It's $90, almost 5 feet tall. I mean, that's not bad at all for what it is. We're going to discuss my two favorites of the lineup now, which are unfortunately both. I'm so upset about it because once they're gone, I don't know if they're going to get restocked. I mean, usually they restock stuff when the season actually fully arrives. When it's like late August, early September, they usually do a restock. So because this is their just initial release in July, and then when the Halloween season is fully here, around early September, is when they restock stuff. Often online, I think. Don't quote me because I could be wrong, but I think they do that. And so I'm hoping these ones will get restocked if they sell out fast, which I'm assuming they're going to because they're awesome. These are the two best in my opinion. No complaints about these ones. I think the best 12-foot thing we've gotten to date, the best giant thing. I'm biased because I love ghosts, but this is the 12-foot giant-sized towering ghost at $350. This thing is so cool. I don't know why. There's just something about the way it looks, and the fact it's fully sculpted and molded. It's not just fabric. It looks so awesome. I love the pose it's in. I love how it looks like it's like coming up out of the earth. The lights on it are so cool. This might be the best 12-foot one we've gotten. It's incredible. I absolutely love this thing. I don't know if I'm going to get it simply because I have the Inferno Pumpkin skeleton, but wow. It's a good one. I like it. I'm biased, of course. I'm sure there's other ones that objectively you can say are definitely better, but this one, just to me, it's so good. I love it. But this next one takes the cake for the best thing at Home Depot this year. And I know a lot of people agree with me, and a lot of people disagree with me. You're very torn on this one. It's some people hate it, some people love it, and I think it's because the people who love it are the people who are fine with this more unique stuff for Halloween, and the people who hate it are the people who just want to stick to the same traditional things, which I love traditional Halloween, but I also love the unique creative stuff. I love both of it. And so this is something people talked about it earlier it was last month. People talked about this because it got leaked. Now we have a full official coverage on it, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt it's the best thing at Home Depot, as everyone thought it would be, because they didn't mess it up one bit. THD 3000, originally called Cold Hate, at $280. This thing is literally insane. It's so cool. Not only is it a robot, which is awesome, a killer robot, something I never thought we would see, but the animation is the same as the witch, with that truly amazing servo, the truly awesome eyes, and it squints its eyes and it's so good. I don't know what else to say about it other than that it's one of the coolest, it might be one of the coolest animatronics idea-wise and execution-wise I may have ever seen. And honestly, the robot or sci-fi theming, I love the sci-fi theming. It's not my very top. My very top's always going to be the very traditional Halloween stuff, but it's something I really like. And something like this is so, so unique and different. It's just hard not to love it. The only thing that's making me question if I should get it or not is that I don't have a current use for it, because obviously my haunt theme this year is circus, and so I wouldn't use it for the haunt this year. However, I would still use it in an outdoor display at my house. Since the haunt isn't at my house on Halloween night, I can just put it outside. And that's why I'm justifying possibly getting this, because I'm thinking, well, I'll still use it somehow, even if it's not with the haunt. And in future years, I know I'll use it in a haunt. I just don't know when. But it's just one of those things, and unfortunately it's an online-only exclusive, but it's just one of those things that I feel like it would be a real shame to miss out on, because it's just so cool, but I don't know. This next one is one that I'm not as enthused about, but it's kind of funny when you hear the story behind it. It's $90, it is 4.5 foot, Sinister Sieve. It's a clown, which I'm not going to get it for the haunt because it doesn't have the vibe of the clowns I'm doing for the haunt, but it's kind of funny. It's more of a novelty item, if you say. It's basically a Home Depot clown. He's wearing Home Depot colors and he's got a tool belt, and apparently they named it after one of the corporate workers at Home Depot. I don't know what else to say about it other than this whole prop is a big joke. And not in a bad way, but it's a joke that Home Depot came up with, and hey, if you like it, you like it. Not my thing. The last two things we're going to talk about here are things that are going to sell out so fast. And I know it. Everyone knows it. I mean, there's a category on the Home Depot thing that they sent me here to discuss this stuff called Disney characters. Because Home Depot is going big with Disney licensing this year, which is awesome because it makes me think of the future possibilities for sure, like Haunted Mansion stuff. But I think that's really cool. They've had Disney stuff before, but they're really relying heavily on the licensing from Disney this year. So I'm thinking it's something that's going to expand again in the future. But there's two things here that are very interesting. The first one isn't my personal cup of tea. It's $200. It's 3.5 feet tall. It is an animated Yoda from Star Wars. The reason this is not my personal cup of tea is because, for one, I appreciate Star Wars, but I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Two, it's not very Halloween to me. I mean, it's not a Halloween movie. It's not a horror movie. It's Yoda from Star Wars. The only thing that makes it Halloween is that it's wearing a witch hat and has a Halloween sign. However, I understand the appeal because a lot of people like to decorate with characters wearing Halloween things, which ultimately makes them a Halloween decoration. So I get the appeal. For a Star Wars fan or collector, this is something that I guarantee a lot of people are going to get. Also, it has some great animation. It has the same type of animation as THD and The Witch, so I appreciate that. I think that's really well done. It's just not my thing, but something else interesting that's worth noting about this is that it also doubles as a Christmas thing because it comes with a sign that's for Christmas and a Santa hat as well. So you're really getting 2 holidays worth out of this, which I think is a really cool feature, considering Yoda isn't a character that goes with any holiday until you dress him up for that holiday. I think it's a cool feature that they included different accessories to go with him. I don't know if he has different options where you can switch what he says, or if his things he says are more vague, so it doesn't really matter. But I think it's very interesting because for $200, you're getting a really accurate Yoda if you're really into Star Wars with some great animation that you can dress up for both Halloween and Christmas. I think if you're into it, that's a really cool thing. Personally, I'm not into it just because it's not my thing. However, if you are, I'd say you should hop on this one soon because I guarantee this guy's going to sell out fast. I guarantee it. I don't see how it couldn't. This is like, it's Star Wars, of course it is. And I know a lot of people are going to like this. But this next one is my thing. However, I'm not going to get it simply because I just don't have a use for it. I'd rather get the 12-foot Ghost. However, I think this thing is very awesome for what it is. It is the 13-foot animated Jack Skellington. This is the big one this year. This is the big one that they're really is their heavy hitter that is going to be gone within seconds when it first drops. 100%. And when it comes out in stores, it's probably going to be gone within a day. So you better, if you want this one, you better be on it fast. It's $400, which honestly I can completely understand for this. Usually $400 is such a high price to pay and it's hard to justify, but it's a licensed character. It has servo animation and a moving mouth. It has interchangeable top of the head so he can look happy or evil. And it's 13 feet tall, and it's Jack Skellington, $400. You know, I can't fault that price in the slightest. There's other things that have been $400 that, honestly, they pale in comparison to this. It's a 13-foot Jack Skellington. Now, the only thing I wish, is that they'd make a version of Jack Skellington that's like 7 feet tall, which is more movie-accurate height, that looks like this. Because we've had Jack Skellington in the past. We've had a few variations on the same model of Jack Skellington. And though that model is really good, this one with the servo head and all the features it has is really cool. I really like the look of this one overall, and I like all the servo features. I like the interchangeable facial expressions. I want a normal-sized Jack that is like this, because that's the only thing is I don't know. When I get licensed characters, I mostly just get them to display inside, because most of my uses for Halloween stuff is obviously for haunt purposes, but I also do like to display my stuff around the house for Halloween. And for licensed characters, I usually like to display them in my room for Halloween. And sometimes year-round, depending on the character. But this Jack, he's so big that I can't fit him inside, and I've already got a giant one for outside. And I like the Ghost a little bit more, so I wouldn't choose Jack, but I feel like for a lot of people, this is a great one. Obviously, it's going to sell fast. It's awesome. There's no fault in it at all. I don't see anything wrong with it in the slightest. It's absolutely stellar. However, this is just an idea, would you say, for future Home Depot years, that they make a Jack Skellington that is around 7 feet tall, or just a normal-sized animatronic Jack Skellington that looks like this and has the same animations and features as this. Because I do like the original one, but I feel like this one is the superior model. It's just a little bit too tall for my taste. That is the Home Depot Halloween 2023 lineup. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. This was a pretty long video, but there was a lot to talk about, and there's just so much cool stuff here. I cannot wait to see this stuff in person. I don't know if I'm going to get anything yet. I really like THD, but again, like I said, I don't know, because I don't know if I'd use him in the near future, and I'm definitely not using him this year since I'm doing a circus theme this year. I could possibly use him in future years, but I don't know. But this year, I'd still want a use out of him. I'd probably put him in my front yard on Halloween to display, because the haunt is not on Halloween night, because it's multiple nights throughout October. So I could do that. We'll see. He's just kind of one that's too cool to miss out on, even if I'm not going to use him in the haunt this year. Regardless, let me know what you thought of this stuff in the comments below. Let me know what you plan on getting, and I'm so happy I was able to share this with you guys a day early so you can see all this stuff and plan what you want to get. And thank you again so much, Home Depot, for inviting me to this because boy was it a blast, and boy were there some awesome things to look at. It was so much fun doing the whole thing, getting to see this stuff and hear about it. A lot of fun, and it's really getting me hyped for the Halloween 2023 season. I was just getting this massive wave of excitement over me looking at this stuff, knowing that Halloween is only 3.5 months away. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you, Home Depot, for a great lineup and for inviting me to your Halloween 2023 showcase. Remember that here lies Halloween.